Okay, I think we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Tom Pico, and since July, it's been my privilege to be the president and CEO for the University of Maine Alumni Association. We're excited to continue our periodic webinars to reach UMaine alumni near and far with updates on a variety of topics from the University of Maine. As you know, today we will be discussing building the future of Black Bear athletics. And I want to be sure to thank our great partners at the University of Maine M Club for their sponsorship support to make today's presentation possible. Black Bear athletic fans everywhere reacted with great enthusiasm to the news of a $90 million investment in athletics from the Harold Alfond Foundation, which has inspired other major gifts as well. This $90 million investment is part of a larger $240 million commitment to the University of Maine system from the Harold Alfond Foundation. Before we hear from Seth Woodcock about the current status of UMaine Athletics Master Plan, I believe UMaine President Joan Farini-Mundy is with us, and I'd love to give her a moment to say hello and give a welcome. President Farini-Mundy.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to join you for this entire event, but I'm very excited about the chance for Seth to talk to you about our wonderful plans for Black Bear Athletics in light of our extraordinary gift from the Harold Alfond Foundation. So as Tom mentions, the $90 million gift is groundbreaking for this university. And we are so pleased also to have many of you on this call who have helped to join in support of this activity with your own generous gifts. So really wonderful moment to be able to hear where we are with this. I wanted to simply say that, of course, the gift to Black Bear Athletics is within the context of our overall $240 million Harold Alfond Foundation UMS Transforms activity. And so Seth and the team working on the Black Bear Athletics piece are a part of a bigger group that includes our focus on student success and retention, our focus on engineering and computer science for the state of Maine, and on the Maine Graduate and Professional Center. So all four parts of the big project are moving along and working well, looking for ways to make a profound impact on our state and on the people of our state and on the students who come to our University of Maine system for years to come. And the athletics component, of course, is right there at the center. So I'm grateful that Seth has the chance now to speak with you about where we are. He'll say a bit more about the overall project as well and tell you what our plans are looking like today. And really, in advance, I wish to thank you for your interest, your support, your good ideas as we move forward. This is a 10 to 12 year process for the entire project. And so, again, we're looking to move pieces forward as quickly as we can, when we can, and at the same time to take a longer view so that we're ready to move all of this to the advancement of the University of Maine system. With that, I'll turn it back to the host and wish you well for a very interesting webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, President Farini-Mundy. We appreciate your leadership and appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to be here with us today. So we're also pleased to have Interim Athletic Director Samantha Hegman-Wary with us, and I'd like to offer Sam a couple of minutes to give a welcome as well.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us as we discuss the progress we've made with the Harold Alfond gift and the development of the master plan. As Tom said, my name is Samantha Hegman-Wary, and I'm the interim director of athletics here at the University of Maine. I know Seth will be the person to walk you through the main presentation and what the future of Black Bear Athletics looks like, but I would be remiss if I did not say how tremendous the impact of the gift that the Harold Alfond Foundation gave will not only be to the Department of Athletics, but the university, local, and Maine state community as well. When the opportunity was given to me to get involved with the architectural planning process, it was such a privilege to have input on who would help bring our vision to life. We chose WBRC and Crawford Design Firm for their experience with building in the state of Maine climate, along with their knowledge of building athletic facilities. So far, they've been amazing to collaborate with, and their expertise and innovation has allowed us to have a lot of open discussion and dialogue about the vision of the University of Maine athletics. That, coupled with our generous donors, such as Rod Sparrow to upgrade our football operation, Neil DeStefano to give our club programs additional spaces to utilize, and of course, Phil Morse with his multi-purpose center, will allow us to move forward and give our fans, student athletes, and coaches the best experience they deserve. I'm beyond excited to show you what we have planned for the short and long-term future and how we'll impact and support the University of Maine and the future of athletics. With that, Tom, I'll turn it back to you to introduce Seth and what we have in the coming years. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Sam. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate your leadership. A couple of quick housekeeping items. First, we want to make sure everybody is aware that this session is being recorded, and we will share this recording online at a later date for those who are unable to join us today. And secondly, we will have time for a few questions at the end. And if you'd like to submit a question, please send that in the chat feature on Zoom here to the host, who is Nicolette Hashi of the Alumni Association, and she will relay those to me, and I will ask those questions of Seth at the end, as many as we have time to get to. So now for our presentation, I'm pleased to introduce Seth Woodcock, a familiar face to many Black Bear fans, a UMaine alum who has been leading development efforts for UMaine athletics for 10 years, and this fall has assumed the new title of Senior Associate Athletic Director for Development and Capital Planning, and is co-leading the athletics portion of the Harold Alfond Foundation grant. Seth, thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tom, and I'm going to share my screen here. Give me one quick second. All right. And let's just make sure as my computer decides to update a bunch of things. Okay, everyone see that okay? I'm Seth Woodcock, the Senior Associate Athletic Director for Development and Capital Planning, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be here today to go over kind of where we're at with our facilities project after the transformational Harold Alfond gift. We'll go into some specifics on the facilities plan today. Happy to take some questions at the end and have a couple of our coaches talk to you about the impact of these projects on their programs. So this all began officially in October of 2020 when the Harold Alfond Foundation made their unbelievable commitment of $240 million to the University of Maine system. $150 million of that gift goes to the system for a lot of our academic programs and priorities that the Chancellor and President have outlined to move our state forward with our universities. 90 million of that, as you know, has gone to support the capital plans for University of Maine athletics, which we'll dive into today. And at the time, and I believe still, this represented the 5th largest gift to athletics at a public university in the history of college athletics. And I can tell you, we've had our athletic director search going on, and the impact this has had for us on recruiting not just coaches and student athletes, but leaders like ADs has been significant. They all talked about what this project means to others nationally. So we made a little noise with Maine thanks to the Harold Alfond Foundation. And it was overall the largest gift to a public university in the history of New England. So when we look at the academic side of the gift to the system, there really are 4 key components. There's a $75 million portion from the Alfonds with a $75 million fundraising match that we're required to hit to support the Maine College of Engineering, Computing, and Information Sciences. $55 million from the Alfonds with a $50 million match to support the Maine Graduate and Professional Center. $20 million with a $25 million match from us for student success and retention, and our $90 million gift with a $20 million fundraising goal for our athletics component. It's important to note that there are several fundraising buckets for these projects, and particularly on the academic side, you have federal research, you have federal grants, state funding, corporate and private support, as well as foundations across the country that are all opportunities for us to help meet this aggressive matching campaign with the Alfonds. Real quickly, as the athletics guy, we're going to dive deep into that side, but to touch upon the other things today, the Maine College of Engineering, the gift to that, and the Computing and Information Sciences is really to answer the need statewide for engineers, folks that work in computing and information sciences, with a statewide program with all of our universities in the University of Maine system to help address those needs and create the product of students that we need here in the state of Maine. The Maine Graduate and Professional Center is going to have a physical home in Portland. It's really going to prepare our business leaders, our MBA program, our graduate students to develop those skills, both with their academic skills and their leadership skills, to come into the Maine economy and be valuable components of the state of Maine going forward. Student success and retention is critical. When there was a major issue with kids coming to school and leaving after the first year. We want our students to come to our colleges and want to stay. And a big part of that is how you lay that out for students, not only throughout their 4 years, but particularly in their first year. Are they working on meaningful research projects? Are they How does the campus look? How are they involved? How are they getting tied into a meaningful career down the line? So we're going to spend a lot of time and energy making sure when we get students, we retain them as well. And then again, what I'm most excited about, the $90 million for UMaine athletics. So when we went to the Alphon Foundation several years ago and we started to think about how we could pitch what we need here at the University of Maine for our athletics program with our facilities to move the needle here at the university, not just for us, but for everyone. And we really gave this a lot of thought through several athletic directors as we put this together as a potential ask. First and foremost, for our department, we need to have a Division I standard. We're the only Division I program in the state of Maine. Those fans that haven't had the opportunity to travel into any other facilities in our three conferences, we play in the America East Conference, Hockey East, and the Colonial Athletic Association. When you have a chance to travel throughout our conferences, you realize our facilities are awesome, we think. But when you travel and see what we're competing against, we were falling behind. And that's a significant issue when you want to recruit students to come to your program, student athletes, and keep them there nowadays with the transfer portal and the changing landscape of the NCAA. And also, go head to head with some of these schools and win the kids that aren't just looking at Maine, that may be looking at other institutions. So we want that to be appropriate for the state of Maine. We had a very good conversation with the Alphon leadership and the family, as well as other donors, about we want to have facilities that are appropriate for the University of Maine. We are not going to get in the arms race. We are not Alabama or Kentucky that can redo a $5 million locker room every year just because they want a specific recruit. But we need to raise the bar so that we're competitive, but we want it to be appropriate for our university and our state, and something we can maintain, we can take care of, and our fans and community can be very proud of. We take our service to state and community very personally at the University of Maine, and especially in our athletic department. I'm a native kid. I grew up in Farmington. This is the state I love. This is the university I went to. This is the stuff I'm most passionate about besides my family. This service to state's a key component of what we can do. I know what it means for the people of the state of Maine to have an athletic program that can make them believe that Mainers can do anything. And we want to have facilities that give that sense of pride, but also provide the actual physical locations for local communities to compete at our university, for state championships to come here, regional events, New England, state national events. We want folks to visit the University of Maine, because once you get them there, we'll say all of our coaches will tell you that about our recruits. They realize it's an awesome place, and some may want to go to school there. So we feel a huge obligation to the state and the community and our campus to provide that opportunity for our state. Gender equity was a massive concern for us. We've been very open about this. We have a soccer program that plays on the outfield of our baseball field. We had a softball program that's playing in northern New England with a natural grass field with, by the time of softball season, which is a lot earlier in Division I softball than it is other sports, it's a difficult place to play. We want to give our nationally ranked field hockey team a facility that they deserve to compete in. So that was a major priority of this facility plan. We want to bring basketball back on campus. This promise has been made throughout the years. We've played on campus in the pit. We know the obstacles for our fans with playing in the pit. It's just not an arena, as much as we all love it, that is appropriate for a Division I basketball program and the fans nowadays. We've enjoyed playing down at the Cross Center. It's been a really good relationship, but it's time to give our community and our campus and our student athletes a home facility for basketball. We want championship caliber support services. This is so important in our world in athletics. This is the stuff a lot of folks don't see as fans, but our student athletes, when they look at where they want to go to school, they want to see what you have for strength and conditioning, sports medicine, player lounges, video rooms. And for our top tier programs that are producing professional athletes, this is a major part of their decision making of how are they going to come to a university and take the steps necessary, along with great coaching, to go to the next level in their career. So it's very important for us. The indoor space, we'll get into this, is critical, not just for us, but for our whole campus, the Mahaney Dome. And we knew we had to make a significant investment in Alphon Arena. That was one of the most interesting discussions early on. Do we build a new hockey rink and not do anything else? Or do we do something that's appropriate for our entire campus and our community and our state and put money back into a barn that we all love? And that was, I was very excited about that decision to keep us in the Alphon. So out of that came the priorities, and we're going to go into these in much more detail here in a second, so I'll be quick. The Alphon Arena and the investment in the Sean Walsh Center for our operations is a huge component of this. Our multi-purpose center, which we were unbelievably excited to announce, Phil and Susan Morse gave us a $10 million commitment to name that arena. Strength and conditioning, sports medicine, that's that infrastructure I was talking about. Our playing fields, not just renovating softball and creating a new soccer field, but also upgrading the fields that we have. There's a huge responsibility when you're managing athletic facilities. When you build something, it's great, but it gets worn down. You have to replace your turf every 10 or so years. So we have to have a vision for how to do that, so we aren't always trying to figure that out last minute. Track and field, anyone that's seen our track, it's dead. We know that around the football field. Track deserves a facility that's appropriate for them and for our community. It's a highly used community facility. Our commitment to campus and rec sports, we have a great partnership there. They use a lot of our facilities for intramurals and the student experience outside of the Division I student athletes that are near and dear. Folks like me, I love playing intramurals at UMaine. They're an important part of my time at Maine. Again, the indoor facility is just critical. Our upgrades to Morse Field and our football stadium, and what this whole plan does for our football program. And then a very complicated part, but important part, of the Memorial Gym renovations. And anybody that's been in the Memorial Gym knows it's a maze, and you got an old historic building that has a lot of nooks and crannies. So figuring out how to utilize that space going forward is an important part of the plan. So when we originally pitched this gift, and President Farini Mundy and Chancellor Malloy, along with Ken Ralph, closed the gift with the Harold Alphon Foundation, we had a vision. And the vision was a $90 million facility plan and a $20 million fundraising goal for enhancements to that plan. So it was part of the plan, the fundraising, but it wasn't 1,000% necessary to do what we wanted to do. That was a $110 million capital project. And you'll hear me talk in a little bit more detail later on about what has changed since then. We've gone through a worldwide pandemic. There have been significant challenges with the economy. So this original plan and the scope of it is what we have gone to the national recognized design teams that Samantha mentioned to piece this facility plan together, take it from being a plan that Ken and Carlton and me and others and Samantha were scratching on a piece of paper, put it into a real master plan that can be implemented over time. Now, from there, you got to figure out what you implement when. There's a lot of pieces that go into that, and that's where we currently are. So these numbers are not there for any reason, but I wanted to just give you kind of a feel for how this layout will look if the master facilities plan is implemented to the full design that we have. So you'll see over here, if I can show my mouse, number one here is the softball field. And as I said, we're going to go into detail on each of these projects. So I'm just going to kind of touch on the map here. Then you go up to number two. That's our field hockey field, and it's the current location, but we're looking at improvements there. You go up to our soccer complex on number three here. And I don't know why my mouse doesn't want to show. This would be a new field with our soccer complex. We have our track and field right next to that, number five. We have, excuse me, I don't know why that did that. We'll go backwards. I'm sorry, guys, that just skipped that. There we go. You have, so the track and field is next to the soccer field there. You'll see to the right of the track, there's an area that would be a new design for our throwing areas for track. You move over to the left of the soccer field, you'll see the new parking area. An important piece of this plan is that we're adjusting some of the parking areas, but we're gaining parking with this plan. We're not removing parking from campus by building these facilities. That took a lot of creativity and forward-thinking ideas to get that done. You see our football field. We'll get into this in a little bit more detail, but it becomes a football stadium due to just the way the projects are laid out. So that's a huge impact on football, including other additions to football and renovations to football for locker rooms, player spaces. Our baseball field stays in the same location. It is in need of upgrades, which we have in our plan. And over at Alfond Arena, and I apologize, but my mouse was bouncing everywhere here. If you look over at the Alfond Sports Arena, you can see our Sean Walsh Center below that, which is our operation. And the other orange yellowish space there is concepts for a new entrance to Alfond Arena. Critical piece of the plan. Over behind the Memorial Gym, you'll see number 11 and the big white thing there. That's our current Mahaney Dome, which we've touched upon being critical going forward. And then as you look at the Memorial Gym, we're going to be doing some things in that gym to help make the facility much nicer. So this is just a real quick slide, but an important part of this design plan was the flow. It's very obvious for any of us that have been around UMaine sports for a while that it's difficult to get to some of our fields. So whether you're a grandparent coming to a Bangor or John Baptist field hockey game or one of our events, physically getting to our field hockey field is difficult. So we wanted to address some of our vehicular and pedestrian flow around our athletic facilities. And this is just kind of a quick view of all the thinking that's gone into this over the last year. You'll see with the yellow lines, that's vehicular flow and how that improves to get closer to our playing fields, to move visiting teams. If we're hosting events like Special Olympics on our track, how do you get all these people in and out of there in a much more efficient manner? So it's these designers are, again, Crawford, WBRC, and Activitas working with our team in athletics and facilities management. You have a really strong team that's done this at a lot of places that understands these issues as we talk about new facilities and renovations. It's important when you lay these plans out that you do them in phases. And this is one of the hardest parts of the project because you have to determine which phase is most important for your athletic department, most feasible from a construction standpoint, most feasible from a cash flow standpoint. And also, how do we do this without displacing a lot of our teams along the way? We're not just working with a clean slate of property here and building a new home. We have 450 plus student athletes and 17 programs that are practicing, competing. We have community events in the summer. So there's a lot that goes into figuring out what you do, when, and how you do it. So that's intentional, and we've laid out phases, which is a very effective plan to implement the original goals of the facilities plan with the Alfond gift that we feel very good about. So phase one in the priority projects, we're currently we're underway. So our softball field down there in number 1 is in the same location, and our field hockey field, and that is currently way under construction. I'll have some pictures to share with you, and it's really an exciting project to kick off here. And I can tell you, it just was really exciting, and I think our whole department felt that way to see some stuff, some dirt being moved, and to know that this is really happening. So that's been a great moment for us this year. And then number 2 is as well in phase 1 is our field hockey field and what we're going to do there, as part of phase 1. So getting into the softball field a little bit, as I touched upon earlier, some of the issues are you had a natural field, natural grass field. That is all turf field now. The infield's turf, outfield's turf. That's critical for us, not just because it's kind of the standard now for Division I softball, but when you're talking about playing softball and baseball in Northern New England, snow removal is important. So we can remove snow from turf and get a field ready for play without worrying about what we all worry about as Mainers during mud season. And are we ruining our front lawn for the summer? So we're in a much better position with that going forward. Huge sigh of relief for our facilities guys and our softball coach when we figured that out. Beautiful fencing, lights that are television standard lights for broadcasts. We broadcast all of our games through ESPN Plus, and it's important to have the appropriate lighting for that. Also gives us the chance to host night games when you're looking at state championships, local games. It just gives us a longer time frame during the day to host games on this facility. New dugouts, a new seating area, new bleachers, a new press box that's appropriate to call games and keep the stats during cold spring windy days. And one of the neatest things of this project is the indoor hitting pavilion. So our softball team has been sharing the hitting pavilion with our baseball team for the last several years. And we wanted to give them their own dedicated space. And we're excited that soon we're going to announce a gift that helped us fund that piece of the project. So this will be, and Coach Fitzpatrick will talk later, if not the best facility in our conference and in New England, one of the very best. And it's going to be a real gem for the whole state of Maine. There's a rendering of how it would look, and we've seen a lot of renderings in my world. So I can tell you I was super excited when I could share a picture of you of this is how it looked yesterday. This is how our softball field looks if you were going to walk out there right now. You can see the fields all in, our branding's in on the field. The dugouts are still being constructed as well as the hitting pavilion, but we're right on pace to have this open for the first game this spring, which will be a really exciting day for all of us. Our field hockey team's nationally ranked. They've done a fantastic job, and they do it with a lot of Maine kids, which is important. We wanted to give them a field that was appropriate for the type of program they're running. So construction began immediately after their season. I was joking with Coach Babineau that she makes this very difficult on us because her team is so good, they keep winning. So she couldn't complain about construction timelines and win at the same time. But we were all in all seriousness, all excited to see those pieces of equipment move over to field hockey to start the project. We wanted to get as much in this fall to prepare us to finish that project in time for the 24 season. So that's on schedule. It'll have, as you notice, those that have been to field hockey games, the fan seating is on the other side of the field now. There are some chair backs in the middle of that field. The design of the bleachers is meant for field hockey. It's elevated to a level that is, as looking at several facilities nationwide, that is best for viewing the game. There are covered benches for our student athletes and a brand new surface. It's important for people to remember you can't play Division I field hockey on just any kind of turf. It's AstroTurf, that old AstroTurf. So when people have ideas like you should just play field hockey on your football field, or it doesn't work. It's not the appropriate surface. So they're going to have a brand new surface and a great facility. I'll touch upon real quickly, but you can see here the intentional design of parking. So I received a phone call before our championships games that there was an ADA fan that couldn't get anywhere near the field. So we have parking near these facilities out there. So it's a better experience for those coming to our games. The soccer complex was originally in phase one. It was a difficult conversation for Samantha and I to tell the soccer coach we were moving it to phase two. But we're doing that for all the right reasons. We need to take a hard look at the design and costs of the soccer complex. And we want to give our soccer program what they need. We want to build that field for our community. But there are some things we may be able to do to help us be responsible with the money that we have to spend. We can join that bid with our track and field, which is located next to it, and have some cost savings with things like infrastructure, with your power, your sewer, your drainage, all those things. So the plan is still to get that soccer project out to bid within this next calendar year, with a goal of hopefully having our soccer complex and our track completed the following year. So that's all approved by our board of trustees, and we're eager to keep that project moving along. So the track and field complex, originally you all saw a speed dome as part of the original plans. As towards the end of Ken's tenure here, and since then, we took a hard look at that, and we got a lot of feedback from our track alums and our coaches, our student athletes, our community, and we felt that the best decision for us was to keep the outdoor track. I will say that this process has been heavily discussed within our department. So Ken was spending a lot of time with our staff, our coaches, talking through these designs. It was not a decision being made in an ivory tower. We're engaging the folks that are going to be most involved with these particular areas at the time when we need their input to help us build the best facilities. So that was the result of the track. We saved some significant dollars, not doing a speed dome versus the outdoor track. We kept the outdoor track for our program, for our community, and it's going to be a great facility. You'll notice to the right, the throwing areas, that's on the right-hand side of our running trail. That's currently woods. That'll all tie in nicely for our track program and any events that we host here externally. Inside of that track, Sam mentioned that Neil DeStefano made a great estate commitment to name that field. You can see that that's a lacrosse field in there. Turf space is critical for our university. We have club sports, we have rec sports, we have community rentals, we have our teams that need extra space for training. That's a really important area inside of that track. Okay, when you look at the Alphon Stadium and our football stadium over here on Morse Field, we've already replaced the turf. Those of you that have been to a football game know that. You'll see how Morse Arena, the multi-purpose center on the south side of that, moves towards the field. That's the Ledbetter parking lot. That's where the current football scoreboard is. When you take the track out of the football field and you put that multi-purpose center there and you put visiting bleachers closer to the field and move the field tighter, you've created a football stadium. And that the look and feel of that's going to be incredible for our football fans and student athletes. I travel with football. I've been to a lot of football stadiums. This is the standard for the best game day experience for our fans and our student athletes. So we're really excited about that piece of the plan. Our baseball field, we're making a significant investment into our baseball field. We need to replace the turf. We need new fencing. We have a new scoreboard already ordered that will be in this spring. We need to take a good look at our Mahaney clubhouse. The baseball facility is our best facility when you compare it amongst our peers, but there are still significant investments to make there. Our clubhouse needs to be updated. Our locker rooms need to be renovated. We're gonna have a great push here with baseball. We've got a lot of folks that are looking forward to supporting that project financially. Again, this is an example of kind of the indoor space, what we're looking at, and these design schematics get a little wonky, so bear with us here. But when you look at our current dome, the Mahaney Dome, there is not a more important space to our athletic department and our university on the athletic side. It is used 24/7 almost in the wintertime. So what we want to do, and it also has reached the end of its life. It has a tendency to decide to, probably like me, fall once or twice during the main winter. It collapses. So that's an expensive thing for us that does it. And there's also opportunity cost that is an issue because our student athletes do not have an indoor facility to practice, and it's just not good. So these type of facilities have come a long way in the last 15 years. So for very affordably, we can build a bigger dome, and we have the plans and we figured out how to do that in a more efficient dome from a facility standpoint that just runs more efficiently, is better lit, has a better turf surface, and it's going to be a very important piece of the project going forward. When you look at the Memorial Gym, there's a bazillion things you could do in there. And the backfill that we're going to have and the spaces available as these other projects come to fruition is going to give us an opportunity long-term to do more and more in the Memorial Gym. But we have to look at what we can really focus on now. We have locker rooms in there that are an issue. We all know that. We have a flow in there that's very difficult for our student athletes. We have a siloed approach to a lot of these places. And I can tell you that with this new design, one of the things we're looking at is a student performance center, where if you notice on the yellow area there, I'll try this again without going backwards. This yellow area here, this is towards Gannett Hall in that area over there where the dome is. We want to have a new entrance for student athletes where they're connected to sports performance, strength and conditioning, academics, a connector to the dome. So we can bring our teams together. So they're not only in a more efficient place to train and to prepare and to study. This is where they're going to spend 90% of their time. They're also around each other. Our football team's around our field hockey team. Our soccer team's around our baseball team. We want to have that feel with our department that we're all on the same team going the same direction. This is a critical upgrade in our facilities, and one that we really are taking a hard look at. This is an old rendering. Don't get hung up, but this is one of the signature project, Morse Arena, our new multi-purpose center. We're going to look at exterior designs for this to have it fit the best with our campus. We'll have several options to look at, and we'll be getting feedback from people on that. But we want this facility to shine and fit with our campus. You're going to see that facility when you come up the hill looking at the Big M. That's one of the first things you're going to see on our campus on the left, and it's going to be a real shining star for the university. This map shows you again where it is on the south side of Alphon Stadium. Morse Arena is going to have a significant impact on our campus, not just for basketball, but for our entire campus and community. So on the basketball side of it, we feel it's absolutely critical that we build a great home basketball gym where our teams and our fans have a home court advantage they love playing at, and recruits see and want to be part of. We will build a 3,000 seat plus or minus arena, and that's the standard for schools of our size right now. A lot of folks have asked why not bigger. There's multiple reasons, but the two most important, the number one, the most important is that's not the appropriate facility for our teams. Even with a great season, we average between 1,500 and 2,000 tickets sold per game for women's basketball, which is our most successful program right now. So if you have a 3,000 seat arena that's full and a hard ticket to get and it's cranking loud, that's what we want. We want the pit on kind of on steroids here, like a new pit. From the community side, and I'll say one more thing about that. The part of that design is truly focused on the fan experience. Chair back seats, great views, closer to the court, ADA accessible, easy to get in and out of, concessions in the right place, great flow. That's all being looked at very closely so that our fans, whether you're 80 or 8, have a great experience coming to our games. This is just a picture of a graduate commencement. It's an example of all the other things you can do with this facility: science fairs, trade shows, admissions events, community events. There's so many opportunities. We don't have this size building on campus. You have the Alphon Arena, you have the Collins Center for the Arts. This is a perfect in-between facility that is a tremendous need for our university. Here you can see how that would look on the backside of football and how it boxes in football. This also gives us opportunities when we look at the design of the multipurpose center for preferred seating for football, club space that you can be indoors and buy a club ticket to watch a football game or a basketball game. It can be flexible. So we're going to go through all that in the design phase, which I'll talk about in a minute. So Alphon Arena, we all know how important it is to not just our hockey program, but our state, our community, this university. There are a lot of things we need to do in the Alphon. And there are things we can do now and things that are going to depend upon how much money we raise and how these projects move going forward. So the good news is the immediate investment, the video board, we're going to have a new center hung video board, a new ribbon board, they call it, underneath the student section, new lighting and new audio is on pace to be in the arena for the start of next hockey season. Those bids have been submitted. We're reviewing them. We're moving that timeline very aggressively to show we're putting money into Alphon now. The Sean Walsh Center is currently in a design phase. We're going to dive into that a little deeper here in a second, but it's critical for our student athletes in getting the best student athletes here to help us compete with our men's and women's programs on a national level. We need to look at the exterior. It needs to have good curbside appeal. It's an older building. We all love it, but it just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Suites and preferred seating are a great opportunity. How can we upgrade those so that you're going to an old famous arena, but you're getting the amenities of a new arena, a new entrance with our history, our Hall of Fame accessible without our gift store spilling out into it. National championship trophies that you see when you walk through the front doors. Retail spot that can, not just for hockey game day, but football game day, during the week, during campus, where it's easy to get in and out of there and buy Maine gear. Concessions, how are we doing our concessions? Are we moving towards the new age of concessions where it's grab and go, where you generate more revenue and have less wait times? Our restrooms, what's your experience going to be at a game at the Alphon? And then the boards, the rink, the paint and polish. Sounds easy, but they're all very big projects with that old facility. Here you see the Sean Walsh Center, and this is just a design to look at. It's not the final product, but it gives you some ideas that we're saving money here by doing some renovating. So if you look at the white area, number one, those are current space that we found a way to renovate to save some costs, but also do what we need to do for our program, and then have some additions, 2 and 3, to help provide all those things that we want to do to give our hockey program what it needs. We won't go into this in great detail, but this is the ground level. You're talking about new locker rooms, strength and conditioning, sports medicine, equipment. This is, a lot of you probably haven't been back on this side, but this is where our programs access the ice. This is where they live every day. So designing this where it's smart from a flow perspective, day to day. How do you move equipment? How do the players flow throughout this? And recruiting. These facilities, as Coach Barr will touch upon soon here, these facilities have a huge impact when you're bringing a recruit to campus, because we're competing against that at other schools. An example of how these locker rooms can look. This is the standard we're looking at for our hockey locker rooms. Everything we do for the men, we're doing even for the women. And then on the first floor, when you walk in, we're from the street side, we're renovating our offices, we're creating video rooms, which are a critical piece of hockey programs, player lounges, upgrading our Dexter lounge, where we do a lot of community events and corporate partner events and volunteer events. So it's a significant overhaul of the Sean Walsh Center, excuse me. Here's an example of a video room. This is a football one that's a little bigger, but this is the standard in Division I. So we touched upon the things we had to do for that old barn to make it shine a little bit when we've got people roaring in there for a Maine hockey game. Example of what you can do to a concourse to make it feel like you're walking into a new facility. So in summary, you know, we're looking at transformational change here. And I said this when we first got the gift, but I think in my field, the word transformational is thrown out there too often. But this is truly transformational for our athletic department and our university. We're going to be able to do things that we haven't been able to do before. And that's just really exciting to me as a graduate and a Maine native. There are challenges, and we want to be very open with folks. We have hit a pandemic since we received this gift, inflation, the cost of materials and getting materials, labor shortages, all of this comes into play looking forward, because we have a responsibility to do this facility plan the way that we need to do it for our campus, our athletic department, our community, and our state. And we are committed to that. But there are pieces of that we have to figure out. There's cash flow for this project. The Alphon gift comes in over multiple years. We do not have 90 million in hand right now that we're sitting on and not spent. Our fundraising is critical. It's critical. And we'll talk about that in a quick second here. So this is all fluid, but the plan is there, and we know what we'd like to accomplish. And the goal is to accomplish that in a timely manner with the best facilities possible that makes sense for our programs when we do things. So we need to work with the system and the president and the chancellor on this. It's not just an AD deciding when to do this or when not to do this. You need board approval. We currently have board of trustees approval for construction for softball, soccer, field hockey, our baseball scoreboard, and the Alphon Arena scoreboard lights and audio. We have board approval for our track and field design, our Alphon Arena and Sean Walsh renovations and additions, our multi-purpose center, Morse Arena, our replacement of the indoor facility, baseball, turf, and clubhouse renovations, and the memorial gym. So we have board approval for those design, but we'll need to go back to the board when we have those costs and those plans for board approval for construction. We will go into design phase for those things that are approved. We're in design phase for a lot of that, and we'll continue and move forward with a multi-purpose center. And as that takes shape, we will work with the stakeholders to see what we can do in there. We'd love to move some football offices in there with Rod Sparrow's gift, a new strength and conditioning, all the stuff. But we have to take a hard look at what we can do and what's responsible versus what achieves our goals here with this facilities plan. This is the largest facilities plan in the history of the University of Maine Athletic Department and the largest campaign. So with the Alphon $90 million lead gift and our great early fundraising success, we've raised $103 million just for facilities at University of Maine. If you would have told me that 10 years ago, I would have told you were crazy. We are in a major campaign, and we need to raise more going forward. We need to blow our $20 million goal away to help us get these projects done in the right manner and on a timeline that we're all comfortable with. Going to have a tremendous impact on our university, our community, and our state. I've hit on that. And this one's personal to me. You know, I've met Harold Alphon a couple of times as a student, but I didn't have the opportunity or the pleasure to meet him a little further on in my career. But I've got a really unique opportunity to get to know several members of that family and the board, and to just learn more about Harold And it's been one of the best parts of my job because Harold was just a Mainer that had a vision. He had a vision that helped him make an awful lot of money, but he had a vision for us. And in 1977, when he supported the construction of Alphon Arena, which started his giving here, Harold Alphon realized, I don't want to just build a hockey arena so that we can play hockey at Maine. I want us to win national championships. And I think we have to reinvest in that vision. Like, good enough's not okay. We have several, and I think we expand it to several other programs. I want every little Maine kid to be like me when I, well, not in the end result, but as a little kid, I want you to dream about coming to the University of Maine because you love it and you love your home state. And, you know, I always keep this baseball on my desk. It's from 1905. And it just reminds me of the importance of my little role in continuing this long history of the University of Maine, but not looking only back, looking forward of what we can be. And this campaign is the envy of schools across the country because it gives us the opportunity to do that. So we're going to need your help to do that. And I think we have a wonderful opportunity. So how can you help? Everybody asks me how many people on your development team. I always say 50,000 plus, because we're all on the same team. Our alums, our fans, our donors, we need you out there talking positively about this plan, these projects, and what the excitement around the University of Maine. There are tons of giving options. You can make a multi-year pledge. You can give online. You can make a planned gift. There's so many different ways you can support this project. And every gift is matched dollar for dollar by the Harold Alphon Foundation. So that giving information is on our website, goblackbears.com, or the University of Maine Foundation. You can call and ask for me at any point. But just as importantly, I want everyone to feel whether you can give $100 or $100 million, we all need to do what we can do to help achieve this dream and this goal, because it's going to be achieved, but we're going to need an army behind us to do it. And I always end with a quote from Harold: if you keep chopping wood, pretty soon there'll be a pile. And he's given us about 5 cord right now. We probably need about 8 or 9 cord of wood, but we got to keep chopping, because when it's all said and done, we're going to have an unbelievable thing that we're all very, very proud of. So with that, I'll escape and try to figure out how to stop my screen share. And I will introduce real quickly our head softball coach, Jordan Fitzpatrick. Jordan's a graduate like me, and our head coach, and she's doing a great job. So Jordan, you can talk a little bit about how this will impact your program.
Sure. Thank you. All right. So Seth already talked a little bit about kind of the renovations that are going on and are almost actually done on our field. So I'm just going to touch upon some of them. I know he already threw out a few of them, but the biggest one for us is the turf. I know you guys all just saw the picture of it. For us, the turf is really the major thing that we needed, especially because like he said, when we're playing in New England, it's really hard to get out in the spring with a grass field. And so having that turf enables us to do a lot of things. It enables us to be at home more often, which helps our student athletes in so many ways, mental health wise, as far as not having to travel as much, not missing as much school. They get to play more in front of their fans and family. That's always really tough for us when we don't have a lot of home games. We just feel like we're constantly traveling, and our families are kind of constantly tagging along with us, which is fantastic, but I know they would also love to be at home more often. So for us, the turf is huge. And for anybody that knows a little bit about the turf, there's a lot of different options for turf. So what we've done is try to create as much realistic turf as possible. So our infield is a little different mixture than the outfield, which creates a little more normalcy to ground balls in the infield and a little more normalcy to the outfield. And I think the design of it has, come out really wonderfully. Like I said, you saw the pictures earlier, and those to me are just amazing. We got to walk it the other day, which was really fun as well. And we're itching to get out on it. And, with the nice weather that we've had, it's been really hard to not be on it. We are also getting new dugouts, which for us is really fantastic as far as heat and warmth. Again, as all of you know, Maine can be very chilly, especially in like March and April when we're really kicking off our season at home. So having that heat just really helps prevent injuries. It also just helps keep people a little more comfortable. He also touched upon the indoor hitting and pitching pavilion. We're very excited about that. Like Seth said, we share it currently, baseballs with them. And it can be a little tricky, especially during COVID. It got really hard for us to use that facility just with the amount of people that we were allowed to have in there. And then the amount of people that both of us have on our teams, just trying to find space for everyone can be hard. So we're really excited about the indoor pavilion having our own, because, you know, now it gives our student athletes way more opportunities to come in and work on their own. Any of you that know current student athletes, that's all they want to do right now. They want to work and work and work, which is fantastic. But for us, it's a little bit tricky. Currently we use the dome during times like this where it's chilly. So having that opportunity to be in the dome and or in our pavilion just opens up more time for our student athletes to be able to come in and work on things. A lot of them like to do extra work on their own. And it's really hard right now to do that just from a scheduling standpoint. So having our own space that they can go into whenever they want is tremendously going to help with that. Not only that, but it's also going to help us again with injuries because that will be heated. So we won't have to worry about anybody pulling hamstrings or hurting their arms because it's chilly. We're getting a new fence and backstop. The fencing for us is huge. That will be the black coating on it, so it'll be much safer as far as just like the student athletes being near it or against it. Anybody that's ever played on a chain link fence, it can be a little harsh. So that is a little more forgiving. We've also got some padding around the field, which is going to help near the backstop. That also will help us with just our equipment in general. Again, chain link fence kind of eats up balls, scuffs them, scratches them, and then we go through a lot more of them than we probably need to. So that's going to help. The windscreen is also going to help us with, you know, again, keeping the warmth in and not letting as much cool air into our facility. What else am I got on here? The lights.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but we're getting close, so I want to give Ben a chance here too.
Sure.
Fantastic updates. I mean, we're doing so much. Jordan's doing a great job with that program too. So Jordan, I know you and I could talk about this project for a long time. So, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I guess I'll wrap it up then and say that my biggest thing is we're just really grateful that we got to be the first project. I know everybody wanted to be the first project. And I know our student athletes are really excited about getting out on the field. Again, we tried to get out there last week, but the construction crew wasn't having it. But you know, for them, it just really instills that like the university is investing back in them and that they do care and that they do want them to be successful. So we really appreciate everyone that's donated and helped make this a actual a possibility for us, and it's coming true. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Jordan. It's a lot for us to get in an hour. With athletics, we'd like a full day conference on this. So you did a great job. I want to introduce Ben Barr, our hockey coach. Ben's doing a fantastic job with our program. We brought him here from UMass. He's recruited 3 national championship teams at Union, Providence, and UMass, and an all-around great guy. So Ben, a little bit on your program and the impact of the plans on hockey. You're on mute here, Ben.
Million times I've done this and I still forget to take the mute button off. Thanks, Seth, and great update, Jordan. Yeah, I'll be quick with this. For our program, I've been here a little over a year now, and obviously we're still not where we want to be. We're making progress. I really like we have 16 new players this year. We had a really big week last week. It was NLI signing week for our program, and I really do believe we have a foundation that'll allow us in the next couple of years to be a championship level team. So this renovation of the Alfon Arena is going to be really, really key in order for us to sustain that. I'll share my screen here. I put together just a brief slideshow of where we're at, and then compared to our competitors, some of them in hockey, some of them across the country. This summer, Seth and I raised a little bit of money to create a player lounge, which is the two pictures you see up top. It's in the old storage area where the old basketball court that used to come down in Alphon was. We cleared it out and we created an area for our players to just hang out. We didn't have an area like that, and it's really important for them to bond and be able to relax. And the locker room is a tough place to do that. You see below, I came from UMass. UMass a couple years ago went through, and I was part of the fundraising for that. That's the lounge area in the new locker room complex they built. We played Merrimack last week. You know, Merrimack, I would consider a program 10 years ago that, you know, would have been far behind the University of Maine as far as facilities and tradition and that kind of stuff. And they've done a phenomenal job. That's the new lounge they built a couple years ago. Here's some of the locker rooms that we're competing against. You know, Boston College in the upper left. Upper right is UMass, which I was part of there as they built that locker room. Michigan State just opened a new locker room on the bottom right. And then the bottom left is a Division III school in Plattsburgh, New York. You know, they have a phenomenal facility, as a lot of Division III schools do. You know, and this is our current facility. You know, our current locker room. And I went down and took some pictures on a normal practice day. Definitely could have probably cleaned it up a little bit and, you know, made it look a little nicer. But, you know, for us, retaining the top quality student athletes, this renovation for our arena is going to be huge. You know, it's a lot has changed in the last 15, 20, 25 years in college hockey. I've seen it evolve at three places that went from the bottom to national championship level programs. And, you know, we're in the process of trying to do that here again. And I'm fully confident that, you know, this renovation to our rink, it won't only help our team. It'll bring a lot of pride. It'll help us restore pride in our program, in the school. And it'll also go back to, it'll help student retention. It gives our community, especially in the long winter months, something to do. And I think the Alphon Arena will be that place once again, especially once these renovations happen. So Seth, I appreciate the time, and I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Ben. I think there we go. I'll kick it back to you, Tom. And my final comment today is beat UNH. We got a musket on the line tomorrow, so let's go get it done.
That's great. Seth, I'm going to rapid fire a few questions here at you that we've had submitted, and we'll go over a little bit here, but I know folks appreciate you being here, and we'd like to get some of these questions off to you real quick. So first one I had was, what is the place of soccer in the future of UMaine athletics? Will there be, for example, women's soccer at homecoming, or potentially return to the men's program?
Yeah. Look, I played college soccer, so it's a sport that's really important to me personally. I think our women's program had an unbelievable fall, and Scott does a fantastic job with that program, both on and off the field. So the current shape of our soccer program within our athletic department is where we are right now. And I can tell there are no active discussions on any of our sport programs as far as what we are going to have here in the next few years. So yeah, we'd love to find a way with all of our teams to highlight them during big weekends like homecoming. We also need to be mindful of how many games we can physically run as a staff. We run lean and mean, so that's not always intentional. That we're not doing that. It's just logistics. So yeah, we're very proud of our soccer team and looking forward to helping them out.
Great. Next question I had relates to, being excited about the facility improvements in Orono, but wondering about what this means for games in Portland, potentially for Black Bear athletics. So
I can tell you just from going through the 80 interviews and how I feel personally as part of the senior team, we're all of Maine's team, and playing games in Portland. I've been one of the biggest advocates for that. And I know that our future athletic directors feel that that's important too. We want to take our brand out throughout Maine, not just Portland. We want to see what we can do in the county. We've practiced and played games on the mid coast or in Auburn with our women's hockey program. So that's going to be part of our long-term vision, is taking our product to where the people of Maine can easily access it when it makes sense for our scheduling.
Yep. Great. And somebody asked about potentially looping in more famous Black Bear alums like Jeremy Pena or Swayman to help promote the campaign. So, and
those are both fantastic human beings, by the way, and we're lucky to have a lot of tremendous alums, especially recently. and they're there to help us, and we certainly will. As this campaign develops, we're planning on using all the resources we have to help us promote the campaign, and it's a fantastic idea. And if you have volunteer time for marketing, whoever asked that question, we're always looking for folks. So,
Right. So, super. Well, we got through what we had submitted, and I think you've done a terrific job. I want to thank you and the coaches for being here with us today. And I know that our alums appreciate having this update. I want to thank the UMaine M Club again for being our sponsor today and making this presentation possible. So I think it's fair to say that all of Black Bear Nation is behind you, and we're excited about this and look forward to working with you on this. So thanks again for the update, Seth. We really appreciate it.